in football. But first off, Garrett, let's jump into this. A realignment-related story here. It's tangential to realignment in that the Alamo Bowl, who was a Pac-12 versus Big 12 bowl game, well, now that doesn't really exist. There technically could still be affiliated with Oregon State or Wazoo, but they wanted to be allowed to choose Texas or Oklahoma for its bowl games in 2024 and 2025. And according to Brett McMurphy, who was just on the show last week, that has been denied. They have 2 years left on the contract with the Big 12 and Pac-12 and wanted to be able to select them for the next 2 seasons. The 10 schools leaving the Pac-12 legacy members would still play in Pac-12 affiliated bowl games and not bowl tie-ins with their new conference for the next 2 seasons. And while that's not all that attractive to the Alamo Bowl they're going to get there's a very good chance that they would get a rematch in that regard, unless it's one of the teams that went to the ACC or the Big Ten. So they don't really want a rematch. They'd like to see something. Plus, if it's Big 12 versus Texas or Oklahoma, that is something the 2 years after they left the league that would be super attractive for them to get, but that's not going to happen.
Well, I mean, also, like, Texas and Oklahoma would have to lose a lot of games to find themselves in the Alamo Bowl. So the likelihood of them ending up there, I don't think is very – I don't think it's going to happen for the foreseeable future. Now, as far as if you're the Alamo Bowl and you're looking for geography, yeah, definitely if you could figure out a way to make this, like Jack and I were talking about earlier, he brought up a good point. Like, if you look at the Texas Bowl, it's SEC and the Big 12 going at it. It makes a lot of sense and everything. And you could kind of play that off with the Alamo Bowl, and I think it would make a lot of sense as well. I think it would be good for both conferences. I don't know at the end of the day what they're going to do to decide who takes the Pac-12's place. But if geography means anything, which it really doesn't anymore, I think making that an SEC Big 10 or Big 12 matchup in the future would be best for everybody.
Yeah, and so I guess we'll see what they do. I mean, there's going to be a lot of bowl game deck shuffling coming up here, and one of the things the bowls have to do, and this I hope this ties in with the settlement, is let's figure out a way to make these fun again, because they're not going to go anywhere without a fight, because they do. Raise money for the communities that have, well, apparently, it depends on what you're talking about. Bowl games can be a grift and have been a grift in the past. I'll tell you, the BCS bowl games, by and large, the Fiesta Sugar and Orange, if you'll remember a few years ago, the Fiesta got threatened with taking away their BCS status because there was a lot of
funny money,
a little, political, kickbacks and things going on, and they got caught for it. So the powers that be in college football we don't want to be seen to do with this. And the Fiesta Bowl goes, look, if, you want to, punish people for kickbacks, we totally understand. But we would like to see everybody else's thing too. And the Sugar and Orange Bowl in particular in Miami and New Orleans, two of the more, greasy palmed towns in America.
Especially
the only
New Orleans,
New Orleans, Miami, and Chicago, there's stuff going on.
Yeah.
And so the Miami, New Orleans, whoa. Look, everybody makes mistakes. Let's not get I'm not even getting to Dallas or Atlanta, but Miami and New Orleans in particular, hey. Oh.
To me, you've got to make it interesting. I think the Pop-Tarts Bowl nailed it last year. Duke's Mayo does its thing. You're going to have to get quirky with it. I think you're going to have to find, you brought this up plenty of times, but incentivize it. You're going to have to make it to where the players want to play in it. I don't think, even if you do that or you offer NIL money, you're still going to have people opt out. I think it will lessen that blow a little bit. But to me, all right, last year I wanted to go because I've never been to the Cotton Bowl, and I was excited. I thought, okay, hell yeah, dude, Ohio State and Missouri are going to play. But, that really – by the time the games got in there, half the people are checked out. It just sucks for everybody right now, the way bowl games are handled. Hopefully you can fix it. I don't know what the end game is with that. I kind of lose interest if it's not necessarily a big matchup personally, but you're going to have to get around that, and you're going to have to figure out a way to do it. I don't know how to do that, but we'll see.
Yeah, they're going to have to figure out a way to fix it. By the way, Justin R, $10 super chat. You want to make bowl games more fun? Do a Selection Sunday type of show where you put all the non-playoff teams in one of those bingo drums and draw teams at random.
Hey, I'll be
then
down
the
for
cities
that.
have the bid on the games. I mean, like, there's probably no bad ideas in this. You know. They've got to figure out something to make them better, because the story of the Alamo Bowl is about to get told in different versions about 15 more times.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the way that these things and bowl agreements are going to shake out. And then we watched 2 years of the 12-team playoff. There's going to be a lot of bowls that now are going to be further down the list because they're eliminated for home site playoff games. I also think that home site playoff games are going to expand further down the line.
Oh, they will. Because
even though the top 4 teams will get a first round bye, you're not going to tell me that Michigan is going to watch, say SMU makes the playoff of the ACC and gets a home playoff game. All right. Just hypothetically.
No, I got
that they're not going to look at a 50,000 seat SMU stadium rocking and thrilled, or Kansas State, smaller stadiums than the Big House, and they haven't had that home playoff game. They're like, well, we should get a home playoff game. And then you eliminate even the need for some of those BCS games too, or the used to be called the New Year's Six.
Yeah.
But you eliminate those games as well. College football's postseason is coming for the bowl games, whether the bowl games like it or not. So they'd be smart to come up with a plan now that when those agreements, are out of date, that they can make something happen and still have them. Otherwise, they've been getting more and more irrelevant because of the opt-outs.
Yeah.
See Orange Bowl 2000 this year. See a lot of games, but there's a less and less relevant because of those opt-outs. They're going to have to find something else to do down the line to make themselves relevant, or they'll all go away.
This is probably a shot in the dark, and a lot of people will blow back on this and they won't like it. But what I have thought about, because it's, to me, with what's happening right now with the split, it's going. But as far as G5 and Power 4, where you're already there's talks about the rankings and everything. To me, if you could make it to where the bowl games were used as host sites for a G5 playoff, and that way you could have the games actually mean something, because you want everybody in fighting for a chance to continue going for a championship. Maybe that, and you could incentivize it around that. Maybe that would work, but I know a lot of the G5 schools aren't going to go for that because they're already feeling like they're getting left behind anyway. But to me, that would kind of get ahead of what's inevitable, because y'all are going to break up, whether it's now or it's a decade from now.
Yeah, they've got to get out in front of it. All right, so the solution for the Pac-12 bowls, which was what I believe we did go over last month. If we did now go over it again, just to put a period on this story for the day, the solution is it allows the Pac-12 bowls, which are the Alamo, the Holiday, the Las Vegas, Sun, Los Angeles, Independence, and an ESPN Bowl event, which is, I think, the new one or the newer one that they'll name here in a couple months, to select either Pac-12 legacy members or the Pac-2, Oregon State and Wazoo. And that keeps Oregon, UCLA, USC, Washington, Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah, Cal, and Stanford for participating in their respective new conference bowl games until 2026, which is still, those are good name schools if they get in bowl games for everybody else. And then after the 12-team playoff field is selected, the Alamo Bowl gets the first selection from the Pac-12 legacy members or the Pac-12, then Holiday, Las Vegas, Sun, LA, and Independence Bowls.
So what if a handful of those teams don't have the record to make a bowl game?
Yeah, then
where do you go?
Then they go to their plan B of filling things in.
Right.
So that's enough teams where you would think that they would. But because of the 12-team playoff, the records that used to be the Alamo Bowl probably won't be there anymore. Because the Alamo Bowl could, quite often get the 12th ranked team in the country. If it fell that way, or someone in the top 15. Now they probably will, but it's not going to be. They're not going to get a random 10-2 team in there, or a 9-3 team in most years. For from those leagues, and that's where the ever-changing landscape of college football, goes. So again, they've got to try to find a way to make bowl games different and good, and NIL games. Look, college basketball's already figured it out.
Yeah,
they've already figured it out
in Vegas. Yeah.
So I have a feeling like eventually Maui Gym and all those other ones will be NIL tournaments too.
Oh, I'm sure.
Just because it's a way for guys to they're going to play on them no matter what, but like just make teams like easily get excited for them and share some of the wealth there. So I think that's all coming. Baylor's played in South Dakota 2 years in a row at the Pentagon. There's they had that game that they did in Detroit this year was another one of those. So they'll still continue to have those. Teams will still do those in basketball. So football needs to find a way to do it as well. I would assume that also down the line, if bowl games start to drift away, you might see. And I'm not in love with the idea of early season off-site games. I think it's fine.
No, I think
it's
ran its course.
But yeah, it's run its course. So if you moved a lot of these bowl games to the beginning of the year, then it would raise that up a little bit more. But I don't know. It could be a nice compromise. I don't know. But again, there's no bad ideas in this. It's just that. And the Alamo Bowl, I've covered it. I've been to it. It's a fun bowl. It's a good bowl. It's usually a good game. It's usually, it's usually between two teams on the way up, or a team on the way up and a team on the way down. So they're kind of meeting in the middle. They're usually pretty darn good games.
Year, I mean, you had Oklahoma and Arizona kind of meeting in the middle on the trajectory.
Yeah,
where they
exactly.
were.
Yeah, exactly. So it is funny to me that all the rules apply to the other conferences about keeping their old bowl affiliations, except the SEC. The SEC, the Big Ten's new teams have to go to the old bowls, and the ACCs and the Big 12, but the SEC's new teams, no.
It's different.
Premier Sankey has made sure that that's not going to happen. Again, the rules apply to everybody but us.
Yes.
These things,
the American way.
So I don't blame the Alamo Bowl for going, the fuh? Come on now.
Exactly.
So we can't pick, especially in Texas is probably not going to be in it for the next year. I would think
no.
If everything goes according to plan. Oklahoma, though, I think is in the water.
They could. I mean, especially with Jackson Arnold trying to find his feet. I think he's going to be pretty good this year. There's going to be a learning curve, but they still have some more questions about them than Texas does for at least a couple of years.
Yeah. By the way, we talked about this for a lot longer than I thought we would. But
it was fun.
Yeah.